spent all my life in retail sales. I basically work for myself, so I am business oriented, and I've tried to put some of those ideas out as far as the city is concerned and some of the laws and ordinances. You always have the problem, whether it be residential or business, that there are people that think that their piece of property is they can do anything they want and they don't have to have any regard for anybody else. So you run into that. But I think that I can say that this council is very exceptional and has been for years, is that they're strong enough that they have a real strong code enforcement policy, and we've really worked that out over the years. So we have enough courage to go ahead and do that, and we think it's paying off in a big way because we're very conscious of upgrading Paramount and constantly improving it. And I think enough of you have been around to see some of the things that have gone on. We have our own code enforcement attorney. We don't use the city attorney. We don't use the district attorney. We found out that if we want to get things done, we have our own specialists in that. And up until this last year, we had Berg Sorensen, which is a large law firm, do the code enforcement for us. Now we have our ex-city manager, is Bill Holt, is doing the code enforcement for us. And believe me, for a lot of people, you just got to go down to the last step before they'll get compliance. But we are very strong about this. We want people to be proud that they live in Paramount, and we try to live up to our slogan, is that Paramount is a city of progress. I want to say something about the staff. Most of you know the staff, but we're blessed. We have been blessed since 1980 when Bill Holt was here, and then recently Pat West became city manager, and we were very fortunate to have Pat, and he's doing a terrific job. In fact, Pat's strength is he gets out in the community a little bit more, a little different style than Bill, but both of them have been outstanding. I'd like to have Rich Leahy stand up. This will really make him upset, but Rich is the director of finance, and we kind of like to keep quiet about Rich because he's so talented. We're afraid sometime that somebody's going to realize that and take him away. But we've won awards for our accounting, and Rich has done bond issues and things that are outstanding. Harry Babbitt is another person. I don't believe Harry's here today, but does public works, and he has done an excellent job. We have practically less employees per 1,000 residents than any city around, and yet they do a tremendous amount of work, and we've kept that to around 100 employees, and there are some part-time employees. The thing that has made this city be so strong is that it's been well run. Financially, it is very successful. We get around $5.5 million a year from our redevelopment for the tax increment, and it only takes about $3.5 million to service that debt. So that leaves us with $2 million. You have to take 20% of that and put it into low mod housing. Right now we've accumulated about $4 million that we're really trying. We have to spend perhaps in the next 4 or 5 years on upgrading low mod housing. That's how they solve the housing problem in California, is they take and make you put 20% of your tax increment into low mod housing. We're not sure exactly where that's going to go, whether it's going to be in rehabbing houses or whatever. We really are having a hard time deciding which is the best way to go with that. We get another $1 million of this money that we put back into the community. And I believe, if I'm accurate, we're the only city in in the state of California that can spend redevelopment money outside the redevelopment area as long as it's for a public project. And you notice a lot of, we have put a lot of effort into helping the school district in Alondra to remodel it, the Clearwater Intermediate School, the high school. We take this and build these medians. When you see all these trees down the middle of the street, we're using that money to do that. I have a slide presentation here for the rest of my part of this program, and I need. Well, as usual, I need somebody to help me out. Oh, good. He didn't explain the on and off button to me. Well, let's see. Okay. As far as business is concerned, these are the areas that we targeted here today. We have the Commercial Rehabilitation Grant Program. I'll show you what that is. Tri-City Housing, the Southeast Area Business Retention. This is a new venture that we've just gotten into. And generally, I'll explain a little bit of our attitude towards business. The rehabilitation program is, as you can see here, we will invest up to $30,000 max. 75%, we'll put up 75% of the money if you remodel your place. And we pretty much can do that throughout the city. We did stick on the main streets for most of the time, but I'll give you a few examples coming up here. And as you can see, we put $1,750,000 into that program. This is an example of on Rosecrans. It's just west of Garfield. This is a commercial rehab program. This is the before, and this is the after. A lot of cities haven't done this. We found that it's a lot easier when you give them a real incentive to do something is to get them to comply. Otherwise, it would be years before some of these businesses be upgraded. This is a furniture store that's on the corner of Rosecrans and Paramount. That's the before. And this is the after. So these programs are available if you have commercial property. This is on the corner of Somerset and Downey. It's the old auto radio, and this has just been in the progress. You notice we have a new fountain that the landowner there donated that corner to the city, and that's part of our beautification process. Another thing that's Housing Authority. One of the places that we decided to use some of that low mod money was to become part of a 3-city housing authority. And what's kind of interesting about this money, we just got this money. The state really wants you to put money into low mod housing, so they gave us, I think it was 15 days to get this $20 million that this housing authority applied for, which was like, yes, we'll give you the opportunity for the money, but we know you can't get it done in 15 days. Well, the bond fella fooled him. He bought them himself, the $20 million, and then he's in the process of placing them out. But despite Orange County and everything, we were able to get this. Now, this will allow people that buy a home in Paramount to have a source of funding that's generally 1 or 1.5% below the best deal you can get. So this didn't, we had to put up $65,000 for our share to get this thing started, but we thought that would strengthen the housing market in Paramount if more money were available. The Southeast Cities Business Retention Program is brand new. SCAG, who is the Southern California Association for Governments, is a regional group, and they had this money available, so we're coming up with a program to help retain business. I think there's 26 cities involved with this, and hopefully to keep our help business to be able to stay in. And what form that comes in, I don't know at this point. It's in the process of being formed, but Pat West, our city manager, is the chairman of that, and we'll be hearing more about that. As far as being business friendly, we had a very adverse relationship with the Paramount swap meet over the years, and that's gone 180 degrees in the other direction. Darren's here today, the general manager, but this is a before, and you've all seen it. This is the after, and it was a very good deal for them and a very good deal for the city. We allowed them to expand to more vending spaces, and for screening all of this off, we helped, and they helped put an entryway in on the northern boundary, and it comes out on Somerset, so it took a lot of the pressure off of Paramount Boulevard. it became probably one of the bigger revenue-producing places in Paramount. So they're making a real contribution to the city, and we think it's terrific the way it's gone. This is a before Mustang Country. It was relocated because of the Walmart, and this is the after. This is part of the commercial program, and of course this was a relocation because of the Walmart too. So this is Sam's Roofing. It was on Garfield. It was a really big problem for the city. They had all kinds of workers standing on the street looking for temporary jobs, and we finally got to his cooperation, and he moved over on Rosecrans, and he has plenty of places for storage, and we cleaned up a really bad situation. This is the drive-in that's on where the Walmart is now. Pat West and Linda, who is our Director of Community Development, they put a lot of this together. We, Paramount has been very fortunate that we've been so well run financially. We basically subsidize them around $4 million to come in here, and all these big sales tax producers have a lot to offer cities, so they want some kind of a deal. So it'll pay back in probably probably 6 or 7 years. But in the meantime, we get this tremendous sales tax out of this. So we've taken redevelopment dollars and converted them into sales tax dollars, and that's what goes to pay for law enforcement and everything else that, to run the city. So, and by the way, this has been a success beyond their own dreams as far as Walmart is concerned. The dollar volume is really big. And we do fund the chamber, and I got to go have lunch first. That kind of helps, that $31,000 there. We try to be really friendly in the city. We have increased our building and planning hours. You can go in there all day long. If you turn in a set of plans, you'll get them back in a very short period. We contract with a private plan checker. We have, as you know, worked with the chamber for a temporary banner ordinance. We have a new tree trimming policy, so we actually trim the trees and thin them out a lot more so they're not quite as messy as they were for some of the businesses, and they give more visibility. We try to be, if businesses have a request, and wherever we can, if they want loading zones or whatever, we try with that. And we have flexible land policies. What am I doing here? Pat, is that not changing for some reason? Where's Pat? What am I doing? It's not. Is that? Oh, good. You need a lot of help when you're a councilman. I was hoping it wouldn't work, you know. This is our sign ordinance, so we allow signs all year long. We don't limit them to so many times. As long as they maintain them, we feel that it's very cheap for them. This is a new way we're trimming the trees now to thin them out a little bit more. Where we've had a request for a change in the curb painting and all that. And this is a downtown shopping center of Vaughn's, but we've allowed different uses in there other than what is scheduled in that zone. So this is kind of my part of the program. And the last one, I guess you know that we spend about $150,000 a year painting out graffiti. And if you have any graffiti problems, we like to take it down right away. So you just need to call in the city and you'll get a fairly fast response. We even have them come out on weekends because we don't like to see any of the graffiti up at all. And we've been pretty successful with that, but it is an expensive program, but we're all for it. This is Pat's half of it. And Pat West has been with the city for a long time. He started in Park and Rec. He's worked his way up to where he's now city manager. He's a tremendous talent. He's done a lot of the redevelopment because he was director of community development for a long time. And he's just an all-around sharp guy. Here's Pat.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Switching to this slide machine has really provided me a lot of job security, too. So, a lot of the department heads that you know that are seated around, some of them aren't here tonight, Bob and Harry aren't here, have been with the city a long, long time. And one of the reasons that is because of some of the programs that you see in a real forward-thinking city council. We've been in other cities, just as a lot of you guys have been in different companies in your own industries and stuff, and it's extremely unique, some of these programs. Many, many area cities have commercial programs to help you get started, but it's all a loan at maybe 1 point below what a bank would give you. This agency, this city has just recognized that the only way to help clean up the city is to give you a real incentive. And that goes with a lot of the programs that you see. So you really have a very business-friendly and residential-friendly council, and it's fun to work in a city like this. I'm going to talk about some of the issues that we're facing quickly. Finances and investment, obviously the Orange County thing, so we'll talk about that. What we see at the economy versus what you might be reading in the papers. Obviously, given our location, gangs and law enforcement is a big issue for all of us, and what we have on the horizon. We just completed our mid-year review of our budget. Our total revenues we expect to end up June 30th with is $25 million, and that's about right on target. The expenditures are a little low, $24 million, and that's because of the department heads and the departments have done a real good job managing their dollars this year. We're going to have a nice operating surplus of $1.3 million. A lot of that will go back into the general fund reserve, and a lot of it will help us get started with a nice big beginning balance for next year. So we're doing quite well financially at this stage. Retail sales are up about 14%, which is obviously a very good sign. Real quickly, to bore you with our operations, just to give you an idea where all that money goes, the biggest chunk goes to public safety. About 31% of our budget funds our contract with the LA County Sheriff's Department. We augment our contract with the sheriffs with a lot of non-sworn people that work for us in the substation. So we have the deputies that carry the guns, and then a lot of the people that you see without the guns, these are called non-sworn people. They work for us, so we can exactly tell them what to do, where to go, and how to serve the public. The deputies, of course, they still report to the county. They're paid by the county, and we constantly manage that process to get the most that we can out of that. The next is water at 22%. We have our own water system, a couple wells, and we put that together over the last 15 years. Public Works is 16%. Water, roads, parks, trees, things like that. Some of that 16% is being spent today on Rosecrans. If you're out west of Garfield by Rolling Thunder Truck Yard, there's a huge sinkhole that I know that's where Harry's out today. Apparently the county fixed a sewer and it didn't get fixed right, and the road started crumbling. So he's out there trying to get that fixed up by today. Community development is about 9%. That's the department that manages a lot of the property improvements that you've just seen. Of course, building and safety, code enforcement, planning and zoning, redevelopment, things like that. Human services are our parks and recreation departments. We have a very active parks and recreation department. The council kind of recognizes that you just can't spend all of your money making the city look better physically if you don't do something to take care of the social problems and provide something back into the community for the kids that live here, that go to school here, the folk that live here, that you're just not going to have a whole community. So we have a real great, having a previous Parks and Recreation director, we just have a great Parks and Recreation program here for a lot of the youth. And the rest, general government, municipal support, our council budgets, city managers' budgets, administrative stuff, and the people who do these slides. City investments. You've all heard the term, I guess, at Toyota of orange you won't get a lemon, and hopefully in Paramount you won't get an orange on our investments. That occupied everybody, every city in California for a long period of time when the Orange County crisis occurred. We were in the process of doing some bonds for the Tri-City Housing program that Mayor Marini just talked about, and it was a slam dunk. It was something that last year it would have been gone in 24 hours. It was just great. However, because of the Orange County crisis, there's a certain amount of the people that buy these things weren't even going to touch anything from California for a while, and plus the people that were even interested, they couldn't even examine our bonds because all of their people were busy looking at Orange County. So that became, that really made an impact on the entire state. So there's still a lot of people out there that just don't want to touch California, period. So it isn't just an Orange County thing. So that's something to that we have to consider. Our money is invested not by an elected treasurer. Our money is invested by our finance department. Rich Leahy, who the mayor introduced, manages all of our money along with the finance director, Margaret Armona. They do that on a daily basis. We have an investment policy that's been adopted by the City Council back in 1991. Whenever we have changes or anything, we bring that back to the City Council to review. Every month, Rich puts out a treasurer's report that tells us where all our money is. It goes to the City Council and it goes to all the department heads. And we don't use brokers. Rich does all of our investing. We use brokers on a very minor scale, so we feel very comfortable. Our investment policy is more restrictive than the state, so we feel comfortable in that vein. We did not invest in Orange County. We did have the opportunity. I know the finance people took a look at what was going on in Orange County and decided that that wasn't anything that we wanted to look into. We don't borrow money to invest. We don't do derivatives or repurchases and things like that, and we don't buy long-term investments. The local economy is up for us, just like what you're reading in the papers. Retail sales up 14%, so the retailers, and I hope I'll hear a commitment from those of you retailers out there, but that's up in the city. Assessed values for property is up about 2.6%. Unemployment is down. The mixed signs or building activities down. The biggest thing there is the valuation. The big projects are still down. We're still having a lot of smaller projects. During these recessions, you get a lot of the small projects that come in. Everybody wants to re-roof or add an addition or take care of their property as opposed to go doing new things. Interest rates are up, which concerns everyone, and our licensed businesses are pretty stable at 1%, and we would like to see that a little higher. Assessed property values in Paramount are up. We had a 2.6% increase. Overall, the county had a 1.3% increase. Gangs are a big issue in this community, as is crime, and Paramount's always been one of the leading communities in dealing with the gang problem. We started looking at the gang problem back in 1981 when our neighbors, when no one thought they had a gang problem. I know Compton didn't have one, East LA said they didn't have one, Long Beach said they didn't have one. I'm being facetious, but it took a lot of guts for the city officials to say that there is a gang problem here and let's deal with it. At that time, people were still nervous about their public image if they admitted that. The first program we did was the Alternatives Gang Membership Program. That's a program implemented in the school system. We've worked very closely with the school district on this, and we put through about 10,000 kids in this program, 2nd grade, 5th grade, and 7th grade, with a good 93 to 95% success ratio. We just started the Target program a year and a half ago. A lot of you in the audience participated in the development of that program. We target the 25 most violent people that affect Paramount. Not all of them live in Paramount, but they do their criminal activity here. And we put through, I understand, close to 50 people through the list. And every time somebody leaves the list, a new person goes on. Each person on the list is visited about 3 times by a deputy just to check up on them. And the people have left the list. Some of them are dead. Some of them have moved. Some of them have actually changed their behavior. Some are in prison. Some are in the youth authority. So for a variety of reasons, they've left the list. We also have a Project Intercept program. We work closely with the school district and the sheriffs on this, and that's a parenting class. The school district, when they find kids that are in the middle here that need that have some problems, they refer them to us, and then we encourage the parents to go to a parenting class to help their kids out. And the teeth behind that is the notice to go to the parenting class is delivered by a uniformed deputy, so the parents kind of pay attention to that. Law enforcement programs, again, 31% of our budget is here. You've all seen the substation. We've tried to put together as close a Paramount Police Department as we can. It's run by our Public Safety Director, Bob Robinson. We have a city substation, and there's a court there too. We contract for about 21 deputies, 3 sergeants, 4 detectives, and 6 special assignment officers. The detectives are all located in the substation. We're one of the only cities in the county with a contract service that has detectives in our city. And the special assignment officers all pretty much work for us, and they aren't out there taking regular calls and things. They're out there doing the things that the community wants to see done. We have 7 non-sworn officers. These are the people that do a lot of the police reports to free up the sworn deputies to actually go out on patrol. And these are dangerous jobs, just like the sworn people. In fact, one of our non-sworn people, Katie, was hit by a drunk driver just last week, and she's still in the hospital with some leg injuries. So this is a tough job. We have a crime analyst in the substation that reviews all of the crime in the city and We can better direct where we're going to put our efforts. This is very unique. Most cities don't have, in fact, I don't know hardly any cities that have a crime analyst. And this person works for us. He's an ex-deputy. And he directs a lot of the efforts of not only Paramount, but a lot of the surrounding communities come to him because he has such a huge database. We have a community liaison officer. We have a half-time probation officer to deal with a lot of the kids. And finally, Bob is our public safety director, and he pretty much manages that so that we keep a good eye on that huge budget with the sheriffs. These are some of the innovative things we do. We've got the sheriffs and the court facility. We have a business fax program. If you're not involved in that, we encourage you to contact the the substation or Peggy. This was very helpful during things like the recent floods, or during earthquake times, or when the riots happened, to keep you posted on what's going on law enforcement-wise. We just bought 4 used cars at Braden Motors, and we use these as undercover cars and to help the detectives get around. These are 2 of them, so if you see those following you, be careful. But this was pretty innovative. We just picked up 4 cars at $5,000 a piece, and as opposed to going to the county where we'd probably have to pay $30,000 a piece. This is a very successful program. We've talked about this in the past. This is an old Delta 88 that we painted to look like a police car, and we park it where we have hot spots. It really helps where we have the bank problems, or if we have a crime at one of the AMPMs or something, we'll park this around, and it really does a lot to deter crime. In fact, we're in the process of getting about 3 more of these cars straight from the Sheriff's Department. They're really starting to recognize the value of this. Obviously, you can't park a car there all the time. People get wides, but it certainly takes care of somebody that just jumps off the freeway and they want to do an instant crime. They'll see this, and you're going to drive away. I mean, even myself, I've seen this thing, and you hit the brakes, and you know nobody's there. This is our PAW program. We're just starting. We have a dog. The PAW program is Permanent Against Weapons. This will be a dog that does not smell drugs. It smells guns. And it'll be one of the first dogs, well, it'll be the only dog in LA County that's utilized in this vein. So when a deputy suspects there's guns in a car or a house, this dog will come out and be able to take care of that. Finally, on the horizon, these are just some of the issues that we're looking at. Hopefully most of you have heard about the floodplain designation that we're looking at. We're trying to prevent a map from being published by FEMA that puts us in the floodplain. In the meantime, we're supporting raising the bicycle paths or the levees of the LA River to protect us from a 100-year storm. First off, if we don't do that and there is a 100-year storm, whether you have insurance or not, I mean, we're all going to be in deep water. Secondly, if you don't have protection from the 100-year storm, very shortly there's going to be a flood insurance requirement for every single person in the city that has a first trust deed that's federally insured, whether you're a residential person or a business person. And the average residential house, about $125,000, will have to be paying $500 to $600 a year in flood insurance. So it's almost like automobile insurance. So those of you that have higher mortgages perhaps on your businesses can imagine what you're going to have to pay to get this flood insurance. And it's going to be mandatory, just by the mere fact that you have a first trust deed. So we're really working to prevent that. Another thing you'll be seeing, those of you that are in industrial areas, the National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System, they're tightening up their permit system. So those of you that discharge water or liquids into the storm drain might have to pay more for permits, or some of you that don't have permits will have to get permits, and some of you may even have to put things like clarifiers on your property to process the water or the runoff before it's allowed into the storm drain. And we're dealing with that at our own end, and we're trying to minimize this as much as possible, but it's a big thing coming on the horizon in the next couple of years. We're concerned about the defense downsizing. Northrop's going to close in Pico Rivera in a year or so. McDonnell Douglas goes down, is cutting down all the time. Rockwell. We recognize that an industrial city like Paramount has a lot of job shoppers out there that probably work with major defense industry contractors, and we're trying to do stuff to try to forestall that as much as possible. Other regional things, we're in a water coalition. The San Gabriel Valley has very polluted aquifers. It's an EPA site, and that polluted water is heading towards the Whittier Narrows Dam, and if it hits the dam, then it gets into our water aquifers, and there goes our water supply for quite some time. So that's something that we're working on. And finally, we're always concerned what the county and the state and the federal team wants to do with us. The county affects us, and we all saw what happens with the libraries. We contract for health and sheriffs, and they might pull back on those services to hit us directly. The state, pretty much, when they need money, they just take it. And the federal budget, we have a lot of programs that are subsidized, our nutrition program, our graffiti program, code enforcement, that are subsidized by grants or seed money from the federal government. And with the new Contract for America, some of those things might dissipate over the next few years, so those are things we're watching at. So that's about it. I guess we'll do questions at the end, and I appreciate your attention. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Paramount Chamber of Commerce, I welcome you and would like to thank all of you for taking the time today to be here with us. Today is an opportunity for each of us to learn more about the many exciting things that are taking place in our city. You just heard Pat and Mayor Maroney talk about the exciting things that's happening within the city of Paramount, and I'm delighted to have the opportunity to share with you the exciting changes which have taken place in our Chamber of Commerce. The Paramount Chamber has been working hard, hand in hand, with the business in our community, and as a result, some pretty sensational things have been happening. Before we continue, let's recall the mission statement for the Chamber of Commerce. The mission statement was to advance the commercial, financial, industrial, and civic interest of our community. Now let us take a look at what the Paramount Chamber has done to accomplish this mission statement since I last stood before you last March of 1994. The direction chosen by the board to attain the mission before us is a simple formula: service, communication, and information. To provide professional, prompt, and courteous service to the community. 2, to communicate with every segment of the community. And number 3, to provide information by the fastest and most efficient means possible. So, who provides these chamber services? Like any other business, employees are vital to its success. The chamber currently employs 3 full-time staff members, 1 part-time salesperson, and 1 outside independent contractor. Executive Assistant Marina Ortega handles the Chamber's daily operations, and by being bilingual, she helps to improve the communication with our minority investors. Membership Services Coordinator Janice Juarez handles the solicitation and orientation of new members. In addition to this, she also handles some of the advertising sales for the Pulse Beat. Part-time sales representative Ramon Ramirez solicits new members as well as Pulse Beat advertisers. Independent contractor Ted Chandler coordinates advertising sales and publication of the Pulse Beat. And of course, last but not least, our executive director, Peggy Lemon, serves as the editor of the Pulse Beat, and she supervises all chamber and business resource center operations, essentially everything. Matter of fact, Peggy, I think you were supposed to wash dishes after this.
I'll be there.
So how do we keep these communications open? Twice a month, members of the Chamber Executive Committee and Board of Directors meet to govern the Chamber's affairs. Members of the board are all non-paid volunteers. Their responsibilities range from raising funds for the Chamber's operations to determining which legislative issues the Chamber will become involved with. These are just a few of our directors, and this year we have 15 directors, and these are just the ones that are not camera shy. And let me take this opportunity to express my appreciation and praise for this year's boards of directors. We've accomplished a lot this year, and it's only because of the hard work and long hours these individuals have contributed. Matter of fact, they've almost forgiven me for that Saturday that I had them cooped up, or have you forgiven me? My wife hasn't forgiven me. Anyway, in addition to these directors, we also have the city manager, Pat West, and Paramount Unified School District Superintendent Michelle Lawrence as liaisons to the Board of Directors. Having Pat and Michelle on the board allows the Chamber effective communication with all segments of the community. Can you imagine what can be accomplished with all three of the major entities in our community working together? Another group of volunteers of the Chamber of Commerce are the ambassadors. They are the workforce of many of these events that we put on. They work hard putting on events such as the popular networking breakfast. And for those of you that have not attended one, you are missing a worthwhile opportunity of quality networking for your businesses. This brings us to step number 3 of our formula, information. Chambers have long been known as a source of information, and this fact still holds true today. However, the type of information chambers once provided is no longer sufficient. It's not enough to know where City Hall is or what activities are happening in our community. We must move into the 21st century and provide businesses with the tools they need for survival in today's economy. The Paramount Chamber is doing just that. We are setting the standard for the surrounding chambers. Let me share with you what the 1994-95 Board of Directors have done to meet these changing needs over the past year. A professional environment had to be created, and thanks to contributions from several businesses, such as Home Bank, who donated these badly needed secretaries' desks and computer tables. The Chamber has undergone a major facelift, which was long overdue. If you have not visited the Chamber office lately, I encourage each and every one of you to do so. A computer networking system which enables staff to quickly access referral and information about Paramount and Paramount businesses, from information on city services to information on world trade to member business referral. All part of the plan to keep Paramount dollars here in Paramount, quickly and efficiently referring Paramount businesses to callers from all over within seconds. This long-awaited improvement was made possible by membership contributions as well as a grant from the City of Paramount. Another source of communication and information utilized by the Chamber is the Pulse Beat. What started here in 1991 as a bi-monthly publication of 1,500 issues has grown to a once-a-month publication which has reached 10,000. This is 10,000 businesses and residents reading positive and promotional information about our community here in Paramount. Every month, we get phone calls complimenting or at least inquiring about the Pulse Beat. From the good deeds that are being performed by local service clubs to the positive role our business leaders play in the lives of our youth today. And remember, only positive things go into this newspaper. Let me take a moment to dwell on this picture. Here we have Paramount High School students who participate in the mentorship program. This program brings together the leaders of today with the leaders of tomorrow. And let me tell you, the skills possessed by many of the mentors participating in this program are recognized the world over. When you look at what is available here in our own little community, it is very impressive. I had the opportunity to tour a couple of our manufacturers that we have here. You would not believe what we have here in our community. And even more impressive is that these leaders are giving back to this community, to our future. As most of you know, I am a product of the Paramount system. And growing up here, I can remember of the influential people in this community that took the time to encourage me to become what I am today. These students are getting that type of opportunity that will help them for many years to come. The Chamber has been deeply involved with the mentorship program since its beginning, assisting with mentor recruitment and promotion of the program as a whole. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, this right here is our future. And now last but definitely not least, I think my pride and joy here, and in my opinion, one of the most exciting changes this year, a long-awaited and praiseworthy addition to our chamber services, is the Paramount Business Resource Center. The center will formally open on May 31st of 1995, and I hope all of you will be there for the grand opening. Paramount's Business Resource Center is just that, a resource center for business. The center will house a wide variety of information, everything from starting a business to getting started in international trade. This information will be available not only in various publications such as books and instruction manuals, but also in a business resource database, all under one roof. The database will contain information on a wide variety of subjects, where or who to contact, everything from our city manager to the President of the United States. I'm sure Bill would like a phone call from each one of us every day. Individuals wanting to start or expand a business may also take advantage of the free on-site counseling services by SCORE. SCORE is the Service Corps of Retired Executives, which is a branch of the Small Business Administration. The realization of this resource center was made possible by many hours of hard work and especially by the generous contributions from the chamber members. Members such as Great Western Bank, who generously donated the office which we will house the center. Pat. And Bentley Manufacturing, who donated the first $1,000 towards its construction. From a single letter sent out requesting the assistance of all the members, the arousing response was unbelievable. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, this community that you have here, in my opinion, is one of the best in the world. Here is a list of the business donations so far received for the Business Resource Center. And it cannot stop here. Your continued support will be needed so that the materials and information can be kept current and we can provide our community the service it well deserves. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the new and exciting changes that have taken place in your Chamber of Commerce. With all these exciting changes taking place, it is not surprising that our membership is growing. It has grown from 257 members in 1993 to today's membership of 400 members. Our goal for fiscal year 1994-95, which does not really end till June, was 400 members. And here it is, only March, and we have already reached our goal. Let's don't stop here. Together we will continue to grow. Together we'll attain new goals. Last year when I stood up here, I showed this slide, and I said that the potential was unlimited. We haven't reached this plateau yet. But with the continued support from the city and the entire community and the continued effort of everybody working together, this dream still exists. It has truly been an exciting year for the Paramount Chamber of Commerce, and you, the members, have a lot to be proud of. I am. You must always remember that it is your investment and commitment which makes accomplishments such as these, making Paramount a community that we could all be proud of. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you'll join me in welcoming Paramount Unified School District Superintendent Michelle Lawrence. Thank you.
Because of the lateness of the hour, I'm going to make my comments very brief, hurry through this presentation, so I know that you have commitments to make. I wanted to focus this time a little bit more on the business aspects of our school district and the school system. So as business people in the area, you get a sense of of how our school district operates, and the superintendent here. This is how we receive the revenues in the school system. Our budget, as you can see, is roughly $55 million. The bulk of our revenue comes from what's called ADA. It's a revenue limit. The state of California finances school districts based on the number of children that they have in the school system. I often get questions asked about the lottery funds and how much lottery money comes into the school system. You notice here other state revenues. That a portion of that piece makes up the lottery funds. Of our school district budget, only $2 million comes to us from lottery funds. The way the lottery works out now is 50% of it goes to prizes, 16% goes to administration, and 34% of the dollars taken in by the lottery are distributed amongst the 5.5 million students in the state of California. So the school district does not receive large sums of money from the lottery. If you will, an interesting aspect, I think, for the city of Paramount and for the school district, this is a list of schools, school districts in Los Angeles County and their revenue limit, meaning that the schools at this end of the spectrum get far more dollars per child into their school system than does Paramount Unified. We are second from the bottom, if you can see. This happened when the state set up their financing program in the state. It happened during a time in which they were trying to equalize the funding of education from community to community. We are engaged as a school district in legislation and lobbying so that this formula will be changed. There is roughly a big difference between, and sometimes $800 or $900 per child that comes to these school districts than comes to Paramount School District. If you multiply that by the more than 14,000 students we have in the school system, that's a difference between these school districts and our school districts of roughly $5 or $6 million. And so the children in this end of the school system and this end of the county, and it's disparate, there's no rationale on how this works, gets far more funding for a child than does the Paramount Unified School District. In terms of how we spend our money, the school district sets up their expenditures in the following way. The bulk of our money goes to personnel costs, teachers and staff to maintain and support the programs within the school district. A large percentage of that, as you can see, goes to benefits and to funding the benefits for the people that we employ. Paramount Unified School District is the largest employer in the city of Paramount, and so consequently, it has a great deal of impact in the city. Because we employ so many people, we have our employees who are using their services. They are having lunch in your restaurants, they are using your businesses, either because they are living in the city or they commute into the city and use your services. The school district itself purchased many supplies, equipment, paint, lumber, landscaping for the school system from members of this community. And so we are a major partner. Probably a little more graphic display of how the dollars are spent. Here is a projection over the years of the cost of where our dollars are going. You can see that this is in certificated salaries. Those are primarily classroom teachers. The next is our classified salaries. Those are instructional aides, custodians, secretaries, clerks, etc. And the thing that probably is the most interesting and certainly challenging for the school system is that if you will notice, employee benefits costs actually exceed the salaries you pay for our classified employees. In part, this is because of the high cost of health care. When school districts, at a time when we were in collective bargaining, we were rather than giving salaries, we were putting in benefit packages. Many of you as businessmen have the same circumstances. You provide a benefit package for your employees, and now that the health costs are out of sight, it's very difficult to control this. Another factor for the school system is workers' comp. We have an incredible amount of employees who take benefit of workers' comp, some probably not in the ways we would like. And so that begins to get to be a very, very difficult thing from a business perspective, knowing that our primary function is to educate children. And when you see where we're putting our money in books and supplies and programs, there is certainly something askew in the financing of public education. Proportionately, I'd like to show you how our school district, how our school district relates to other schools in the area. These are composites of school districts, unified school districts, that are similar in makeup to ours in the sense of their population, numbers of people that they have in the community, and a little bit about the financing. This is where we stand in the proportion of money that we spend for our certificated staff. It's important that we keep this number up at this end in the amount of money we give to our teachers because of the tremendous shortage of teachers. And you want to be able to have your salaries competitive so that you can get the very, very best teaching staff you possibly can to come in to serve the children of the community. So it's important that we have our teaching staff on the top end. I'm not pleased with where we stand here because I think that we can be probably doing a better job for some of our classified employees. But nevertheless, this is how we rate in terms of other school districts and the proportion of money that we spend on our classified employees. At the table, I just got the question, John asked, is it true that there are more administrators in the state than there are teachers? It's a lot easier to blast administrators, I think. That is absolutely a false statement. In the state of California, of the makeup of the employees, the administrators are about 14% of the total certificated staff. Paramount Unified School District has one of the lowest administrative pupil ratios in the county. I work for my money, I want you to know that. Here we are in relationship to the amount of money that goes out to administrators in relationship to these other districts in our school system. So we're really trying to keep those costs in check, and we pay attention to those administrator-teacher ratios. I'm very proud of, this is my third year now in the school system, and this has been an absolute challenging profession, and certainly the role I play as superintendent has been exceptionally challenging. But it is also the most rewarding. This community, without fail, is the best community I have ever worked in, primarily because of the partnership and the renewal and the interest in both the business, the city, and their involvement in the school system. I think we have really worked hard to try to turn our finances around in the school system. This is a graph showing our ending balances and what has happened through the years. We are clearly on an upswing and have really, I think, tried to do the best we can to change the downswing that we were experiencing in the school system and to have our dollars pay more for us. So we are out of debt. We have a positive ending balance, and our school system is looking good financially. We're real proud of that effort. Good staff work. Probably the most challenging thing for the school system, this is very awkward, I apologize. One of the most challenging things for the school district is the tremendous growth. And so the city, I believe, has been acutely sensitive to the whole issue of when they are spending their money. You heard discussion about low-income housing and building different things in the city, that they are paying much attention to what they do because of the impact that the building has on the school system. Here is some enrollment trends in the city of Paramount over the last few years. You can see at the school system in 1965, we were roughly close to 10,000 students. This is the baby boom folks. These are people who are my age who graduated from high school and started leaving, going on to college. And what ended up happening here is throughout Los Angeles County, you were having a tremendous decrease in enrollment. Schools were closing all over Los Angeles County. Orange County was going like crazy. They were building schools, San Bernardino County, Moreno Valley, Orange County, they were growing like crazy. But LA County schools were closing. They were closing schools all over. you see a dramatic change. And not only did the baby boom now go out and begin to have their children and increase the birth rate, but you have a great deal of people moving into Los Angeles County. This is a reflection of what our school system looks like now in just this short period of time. We have roughly, from 1965, 10,000 students. We are at this number now and projected to hold this number. Now, that's not too frightening if you have schools and you have room in your schools to house the children. The difficulty is that we have not built new schools. And so we have been trying to crowd these large numbers of children on very, very small school campuses. Here are the numbers again in enrollment, and those of you who are in a position to see, here are some of our schools across the names of our schools. You have the junior high school Clearwater that had initially in 1965 699 students, 700 children in the school. We now have that same campus with portables on it. The grounds, the acreage isn't anymore. There are no new construction buildings there. These are all portables, now holding that number. The schools are dramatically overcrowded. You can see some of the high school at a 10-12. This is when it was 10-12. It was 14. It is now 3,100 and growing. So we are under a tremendous effort to try and get a hold of this enrollment. Not only are we trying to accommodate the growth that is coming to the school system, but because this is unsatisfactory to us, this is not conducive to good learning, we need to make our schools less crowded. The plan that we have set up for the school system, I've written in the Pulse Beat a number of times and talked with many of you about the plan. We will start in July on a 4-track year-round education. Before long, all our schools will be year-round. That will not accommodate the growth. It will not change the demographics here. It will ease some of the pressure a bit, but not one single solution is there to help solve the problem. So what we have is we have a plan that is to reorganize the entire school district to take advantage of the property that we currently have. There is not acreage available in the city of Paramount to purchase property that would house another high school, for example. So we have to do something with the existing property and change the configuration of the school system. And through this process, we have picked out some really serendipitous kind of opportunities for our schools. What we have done is we have built in 70 days, and those of you who are in business ought to go down and see a Lakewood Elementary School that was on a piece of property that we shared with our continuation school. In 70 days, we've put together a school that is beautiful, functioning, and works very well. There is certainly concern that we have an elementary school next to the continuation school, but it was a good use of our property, and by creating an elementary school of 300, we were able to shift the boundaries and relieve some of the pressure at some of our schools that were really highly condensed. We will be refurbishing Alondra Intermediate School. The city has contributed to the outside of that. We will be going through major rehab with the inside, and that school will become a K-8 elementary school. All our schools in the school district in 2 years' time will be K-8 schools. At the end of this year, we will be retaining all our current 5th graders. They will stay in the school and become 6th graders. I hope that you are seeing the improvement in our system. And before long, I know that I will be able to come to you with some educational statistics that will make you very proud that you have supported our school and are in partnership with the growth of Paramount Unified. Thank you.